So corporations got to name Oracle Park. But do you know where some of the other names around Oracle Park came from? Did you know that one of the most well-known names of the park isn't official? Or that a lot of people may get the origin of one of the major street names near the park wrong? Let's take a look. Welcome to 25 years of history and trivia at Oracle Park. I'm going to assume I don't need to explain who Willie Mays Plaza is named after. The city made that name official, as it is the team's actual address and it even has street signs for it. Although, the original address was 1 Willie Mays Plaza before they changed it to include Willie's famous and retired number. But perhaps an even more well-known name by the park is something you won't find on any official maps. The name McCovey Cove was inspired by an article by San Jose Mercury News sports writer Mark Purdy. He wrote an article about honoring Willie McCovey after learning that the team's current first baseman, JT Snow, did not actually know much about McCovey, who also played first base. However, Purdy was not the one that actually created the name McCovey Cove. While it was Purdy who brainstormed naming the body of water after McCovey, it was Oakland Tribune writer Leonard Coppett who specifically suggested adding Cove to it, making it the lyrically catchy name that it is today, which Purdy described in the article he wrote. Soon after, Giants executive Larry Baer told Purdy that the team would honor McCovey with the name, and the fans ran with it. However, you won't find McCovey Cove on most official maps. The moniker is known worldwide, but only the government could make it official. So while we all know it as McCovey Cove, the body of water's official name is still China Basin. But where does that name come from? According to the San Francisco Almanac, the name China Basin comes from the ships of the Pacific Mail steamship line that docked there, which were called China Clippers due to the many cross-Pacific routes they ran. Of course, another name you'll see and hear often is Mission Bay. The Mission Bay neighborhood got its name from a very shallow cove that was originally there in the 1840s. That cove and marshland was fed by a creek that ran inland to right near where the old Spanish mission was. Despite being called a creek, it was actually big enough to be navigable by small boats and canoes. But fun fact, while Mission Bay and Mission Creek obviously got their name from connecting to the Mission Inland, the Mission got its English name from the creek. Now, please forgive me, I don't speak Spanish, so I may mispronounce these a little bit. The original name of the mission was Mission San Francisco de Asís, but the creek was named by Spanish explorers as Arroyo de Nuestra Señora de las Dolores, or Stream of Our Lady of Sorrows. The mission would later pick up a simpler name based off that creek, Dolores. But Mission Bay did not last, as it was quickly filled in as San Francisco exploded in growth in the 1850s, hence why it is one of the flattest large parts of land in all of San Francisco. Moving on, King Street. It's not named after Martin Luther King, as some may believe. His name graces a much more beautiful and fitting road in Golden Gate Park. No, the name behind King Street is rather a bit more unfortunate. It's named for Georgia-born politician Thomas Butler King. King served in the U.S. House of Representatives for Georgia in 1838 and was noted for his promotion of infrastructure construction. President Zachary Taylor then appointed him an agent for the United States government to California before the state joined the Union, and he had a significant hand in the state's relationship to its new country. After that, he was appointed as tax collector to the Port of San Francisco in 1850, and later also served as a lobbyist for the Southern Pacific Railroad. However, when Georgia seceded from the Union in the Civil War, he briefly became Georgia's, quote, commissioner to Europe. Yeah, so that's who King Street is named for. And that's all the time I want to spend on that. So, when it comes to Berry Street here, I got nothing. Seriously, I couldn't find a historical article, I couldn't find a news article, a book, even a web page, not even Wikipedia had anything that told me where the street got its name. I know it got its name in the mid-19th century, right about the same time that King Street did. That's it. I've got some theories, but if you know, please put it in the comments. I'm really curious. Near the 2nd Street entrance to the park you'll see a sign for a name that many San Franciscans should know, Herb Caen Way. Herb Caen Way is the walkway that runs along the Embarcadero from China Basin to Fisherman's Wharf, and it's named for the columnist whose column about life in San Francisco ran from 1938 until his passing in 1997. Cain's colorful reports were legendary in 20th century San Francisco, and he coined many nicknames you still hear today, including calling the city Baghdad by the Bay. Now, this walkway nearly had a slightly different name, Herb Caen Promenade, but Herb Caen didn't like that.
I thought we were going to be stuck with promenade. That's a French word. Who needs it? I don't even know what it is. I think you spread it on toast or something.
That's right. At the last minute, Herb Caen got the name changed to Herb Caen Way, but not before a few of these signs were made. Finally, there's one other name around the ballpark worth mentioning, and the origin of which is very underappreciated. The Lefty O'Doul Bridge is named for former baseball player and San Francisco native Frank Lefty O'Doul. He played for 5 Major League Baseball teams, including all 3 New York teams of the 1920s and 30s, including the Giants, and then managed the San Francisco Seals for 16 seasons, including a young player named Joe DiMaggio. He would be an important figure not just in local baseball history, but also world baseball history, for his work making baseball popular in Japan, especially after World War II. He also opened a popular bar and restaurant near Union Square that bore his name and lived on for years beyond his life. Now, you might think that the Lefty O'Doul Bridge might have been named because of the baseball stadium, but the bridge was named for O'Doul in 1980, before even the first speculations of the ballpark moving there. The bridge, formerly known as the 3rd Street Bridge, was opened all the way back in 1933, and the Bascule Bridge hides a San Francisco history connection. It was designed by Joseph Strauss, the chief engineer of the Golden Gate Bridge, with the 3rd Street Bridge opening only a few months after construction started on the Golden Gate Bridge. So, the namesake of the Lefty O'Doul Bridge had no connection to the San Francisco Giants, at least not directly. But his name and his place in baseball history is really often overlooked. If you want to learn a little bit more about him, it might take its own video. Tell me if you want that. And so that's some of the history behind the names you'll find around Oracle Park. Did I miss any? Leave it in the comments, and I'll see you next week.